You know the feeling you get when something that you have wanted to happen for a very long time finally happens? Well, I'm feeling that feeling right now because Jake Paul invited Conor McGregor to a boxing match in Ireland, and I frankly can't wait for that to happen. Nothing is confirmed, of course, but could you imagine if this actually happened? I can, and that's why in today's video, we're going to be going over exactly what Jake Paul said, what Conor McGregor said in response, and what the odds of this fight actually happening are. First, let's look into Paul's delusion. Jake Paul, the world's most annoying influencer turned boxer, says that he is absolutely going to fight Conor McGregor, but he has now finally switched the venue to the home turf of the former lightweight and featherweight double UFC champion. That's right, Jake Paul wants to fight Conor McGregor in Ireland, and for some reason he actually thinks it's going to happen. And the reason he is so certain that it is going to happen is absolutely hilarious. According to Jake Paul, fighting Conor McGregor is the entire reason that he got into boxing in the first place. Yep, that's right. Jake Paul decided to leave YouTube and influence behind so he could become a boxer because he wanted to box UFC fighter Conor McGregor. Can somebody explain that logic to me on that one? That's like saying I'm gonna quit my 9-to-5 job so I can get a Tony Award by acting in a movie. The two worlds, while similar, are completely different. Why would your boxing goals rely on fighting a guy who isn't a boxer? How does that make any sense? Jake Paul is truly the world's biggest bozo, and he truly doesn't get enough credit for that. And before you try and tell me that this isn't the reason he became a boxer, let me drop an actual Jake Paul quote on you. "I want to fight McGregor. I will fight him in a boxing ring in Ireland," Paul said. This is partially how the journey in boxing started. Paul continued by saying, "I made up my mind that I was going to get a fight with Conor McGregor and win it, and that is what motivated me to jump into this boxing career." Like, what? How insane is this guy? This is like saying I'm going to earn a contract in the NHL by outskating LeBron James, or saying that you're going to get a sumo wrestling contract by fighting and beating Hasbulla in a sumo wrestling match, or like saying you're going to earn a contract in the NFL by throwing a baseball really far. Jake Paul has proved to me that he is absolutely delusional, and I hope that everyone else sees this too. But you know who I really hope sees this delusion? Conor McGregor. So, would McGregor ever accept this fight offer? Well, as much as I would want this fight to happen, I see the possibility of this bout happening being pretty low, which is unfortunate because I don't think anything would make me happier than to see McGregor absolutely clean Paul's clock in the ring, but it is very unlikely. Why, you ask? Well, if you follow the UFC, unlike Jake Paul apparently, then you would know McGregor is still recovering from his ankle injury he sustained during his trilogy fight with Dustin Poirier last August. I would say that there is little chance that McGregor works hard to recover from this, only to step into a boxing match with the world's biggest clown. But I guess weirder things have happened, right? But in all seriousness, there's absolutely no way that McGregor spends his time in rehab just to fight in a sport that he literally doesn't participate in anyway. I'm not saying that this fight will never happen, I'm just saying that it won't be happening anytime soon. Also, would McGregor ever lower himself to step into the boxing ring to square off against Jake Paul? Honestly, probably. This is the sort of thing that McGregor would love to get himself into for the publicity and the money. McGregor does love to get himself into the public eye any way he can, including mischief of any kind, so this does seem right up his alley, to be honest. But even with the match being potentially hosted in Ireland, and with the purse being undoubtedly huge, this still doesn't seem like something that McGregor would ever get himself involved with. It seems unlike McGregor to put himself into the world of fake publicity boxing, so I can't imagine him putting himself into the world willingly. But crazier things have happened. Heck, Floyd Mayweather fought Jake Paul's brother Logan Paul, so it's not too crazy to assume that these two could exchange punches in the boxing ring. But if these two could ever duke it out, who would win? Let's take a look. Nothing would make me angrier than if these two actually make it into the ring against each other and I see Jake Paul win. Now, I don't want to rag on Jake Paul too much. I mean, he clearly is a good athlete, but I'm still not convinced that he's an actual good boxer. It seems to me and the rest of the world that all of the Paul brothers' fights are staged in such a way that the brothers are always suited to win, and I don't see it being different different with McGregor. I mean, the size difference between Jake Paul and Conor McGregor is substantial. McGregor is only 5'8". Jake Paul is about 6 feet tall. Additionally, Paul is about 191 pounds and McGregor is only 169 pounds. Even though the world knows that McGregor is a better fighter, the weight difference here is actually insane, as is the reach difference. It's obvious that a fight with this big of a mismatch would never really take place or be considered legitimate, which seems like a classic recipe for a Paul brothers fight, right? But despite all of these mismatched stats, I still think that McGregor would have a decent chance against Jake Paul. While McGregor is not a boxer, he is a skilled knockout artist, and I think he would be able to at least put up a decent battle against Jake Paul. But if this was a fair fight and the pair agreed on a form of combat that they both were equally skilled in, and they had equal training time, and the judges were completely impartial, then I think that McGregor would absolutely stomp Jake Paul a million times out of a million. And honestly, I would watch all 1 million of those fights just to see Paul lose a million times. But obviously, we won't be getting that luxury anytime soon. Not with McGregor's recovery or with his antics being a possible roadblock to the fight, according to Jake Paul. Next, Jake Paul has one condition before this fight happens. Jake Paul obviously wants nothing more than to fight Conor McGregor so he can prove to himself and the world that he is a legit fighter. However, Paul has stated that he won't fight him until some conditions are met by McGregor. For starters, McGregor has to settle down in regards to his crazy antics. For example, McGregor has beaten up an old man in a bar for not having a sip of his whiskey. Proper 12 Irish whiskey, which I will be honest is terrible. So I don't blame the guy at all for not forcing that swill down his throat. Secondly, McGregor threw a road stanchion at a bus while leaving an arena because of course he did. And not only that, but he has been in some trouble for his actions and words towards other fighters, including death threats and other forms of verbal abuse. So according to Jake Paul, before he can fight McGregor, McGregor has to figure out his life. Bold words coming from Jake Paul, the allfather of getting in trouble and being an idiot and having a not figured out life, but I see where he is coming from. McGregor is a bit of a loose cannon and I could see why he would want him to be free of controversy prior to stepping into the ring with him. I'm no expert or anything, but hey, Jake, maybe look in the mirror first, pal? Anyway, Jake Paul also said that he would love to smack him in the head. So it seems like McGregor can continue to be a disruptive animal for as long as he wants because Jake Paul is going to want to fight Conor McGregor for as long as he lives. So although we won't be getting this fight anytime soon, I do think we will be getting it at some point during their careers. So I guess we'll just have to be patient until then. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Would you like to see this fight? If so, who would you want to win? Do you think this fight is ever going to happen in real life? Or is this all just a fantasy? Let us know in the comments section below. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and to subscribe to the channel with the notifications turned on so you never miss a single upload. Thank you all once again, and we will see you all in the next video.